The October 24th, 2024 City of Friendswood Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting is now called to order. We will begin by receiving communications from the public. To comply with provisions of the Open Meetings Act, the Commission may not deliberate on subjects discussed under this agenda item. However, the Commission may direct such subjects be placed on a later regular Commission agenda for discussion and/or possible actions. There's nobody from the public, so we'll move to item 3. Next is our consent agenda. These items are considered routine or ministerial in nature and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of items unless a commissioner so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. Item A, consider approving the minutes of the Planning and Zoning regular meeting held on Thursday, October 10th, 2024. Item B, consider approving the replat of Lot 12, Block 2, Montebello, located at 316 Los Frailes Drive. Do we have a motion?
I move that we accept both.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Thank you.
Second.
Second.
Can't speak.
Commissioner Mann. Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. All in favor? Okay, motion passes. Next on the agenda are our action items. According to the Planning and Zoning Rules of Procedure, all action of the Commission shall be made by an affirmative vote of a simple majority of the Commissioners present at such Commission meetings. Item A, consider approval of the site plan for Castle Biosciences located at 1500 West Parkwood Avenue, Friendswood, Galveston County, Texas. Do we have a motion?
Actually, I missed something. Since we amended the rules, we can do staff discussion first, and then y'all can make the motion. I apologize. I missed that on your script earlier today.
No, I didn't know if it was in I didn't know if that was the process approved.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, it's approved. So if you want, I can do the staff presentation,
ahead.
and then y'all can make your motion after that.
Perfect.
Okay. Sorry.
No problem.
So this is the site plan for Castle Biosciences. They are an existing Friendswood business. Currently, they occupy 2 floors at 505 South Friendswood Drive, the 4-story downtown. They are looking to build and develop their own campus. So they're looking to develop Reserve B, which is highlighted on the slides on the screen. Their plans are a little busy, so it's hard to tell. The plat was approved earlier this year. It divided that 25 acres at that intersection into several commercial reserves and then the restricted reserve for detention. So this particular building is going to be a 4-story building, 86,151 square feet. Their building height is good. They actually had to do a redesign from their original submittal. They exceeded the building height because they wanted taller ceilings inside, but they actually redesigned their whole building to meet our maximum building height requirements. Their parking, they are utilizing the 5% deviation. The original required parking would have been 302 parking spaces. With the 5% deviation, it brought them down to 287, and they're providing 291. So I know parking's been a discussion, so just this is an example where the 5% deviation, I think, helped them out. I mean, it's not a lot, but 15 spaces is, it makes the project feasible. And then tree mitigation, they're required to mitigate 4,795 inches of trees, and they are planting 4,886 inches. So they're about 90 inches over on tree mitigation. I think some of their sizes of trees that they're planting are a little bit small, but with the number, they're kind of going with the concept of reforestation, and kind of closer to the back where it abuts Narnia Way, they're making a really nice landscape area. I think their employees will be able to enjoy some nice outdoor space. We did need some clarification from them tonight, and nobody's here. So the accessible route from the building to the public walk, on their site plan, it shows to be on Reserve E. to West Parkwood. And then on their landscape plan, it shows to be within their reserve, that little driveway area that goes to the front. But we will get that clarification from them and get them to correct whichever page is not correct. The other item I did want to note, this project is part of TERS number 2. With that being the case, they are going to be responsible for building 2 lanes of Friendswood Parkway from 528 to the rear of their property. That's going to include alignment of the intersection with Friendswood Parkway across 528. So it'll be a signalized intersection with 2 lanes of traffic. So they will be required to also install the sidewalk along the parkway on that side.
So being that you know that there's a correction that needs to be made, are we gonna have to do a motion, then amend that motion to include the notes? Is that what we're gonna need to do? Or?
You can make the motion to approve with
Okay.
with staff obtaining clarification on location of that accessible
Okay,
route.
perfect. Just want to make sure we started off the right way.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion?
I move.
Okay,
Can they do?
Commissioner Conley?
So is your motion what?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, what Aubrey said?
Pending.
The correction of one of the
corrections
pages.
Right.
So they can do their discussions.
They can do discussion.
So y'all can do your discussions first.
Then we
so-
move to the motion.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that if anything else comes up in your conversations and y'all want to include something else, you can include it all in one motion.
I've got all my notes backwards. I'm
So
sorry.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
It's
'cause
new.
You usually start with the people that, so now you gotta come up with a new system.
yeah.
Yeah,
it's
so
new.
we'll go ahead and start discussion with Commissioner Conrad.
What I said is just gonna be pending or before that.
Oh, we're not doing the motion yet.
Oh,
We're just doing
okay.
discussion.
Okay. I don't have anything to do with this, but the discussion on the convention that I went to, is that what
Oh,
we're talking about?
no,
all
just
this?
discussion on this topic.
On this project. Everything looks good to me. Anything that's pending, it needs to be addressed later on, and once we have all those answers, I think we can vote on it.
Mr. Mann?
I got a couple questions. First one is, it looks like the only entrance is from 528, correct? There's not gonna be an entrance, at least yet, from
Yes,
Friendswood.
they will have access from Friendswood Parkway as well. The little, they're having to do a shared access easement where the gray lines of the parkway end, and then I don't have the pointer.
I see it. That little.
That's going to be
okay.
a shared access easement for.
Okay.
They have to have 2 points of access
Right.
for fire.
Okay, so that was question 1.
Okay.
Question 2 was the entrance from 528. If you ever turned into Windsong, or if you've ever turned into some of those places, I know we need a large enough area, but it looks real tight once you turn in there. Is that going to cause, with 300 or however many parking spaces, as people are turning in there, is that going to back up on 528? And if so, do we need to talk to them about a turn lane or an area where people can get in, so we're not causing a traffic problem on 528? And has that been thought about or addressed?
I don't think it'll be an issue at this point. We can revisit that in the future, like if some like a fast food restaurant or something comes in.
Right.
The radius, the radii of the driveway coming off of a major thoroughfare is a more graduated radius rather than like a 90-degree turn to allow you to make turns at higher speeds.
Right.
So
I guess my concern was more along the lines of, at 7:45, when everyone has to be at work at 8, 300 people are trying to get into the building, and when you tried to do that Windsong just down the road, it was a total disaster, right? And we actually changed all the construction of Windsong so that it wasn't going to be like that. This is now closer to town with the same amount of people trying to get in at the same time. So just a thought as we were going through it, and I wasn't sure then if there was other access entryways like around the corner on Friendswood Parkway that would help to alleviate it. But that was kind of a question I had. And then lastly, there is an entrance a little bit further down into Reserve E. If you look to, I guess that would be to the south. That is going into Reserve E. Is that just a standby in case Reserve E gets developed, or is that already there? What is that entryway for?
They most likely got TxDOT approval for both of those driveways. Did they?
That's an existing,
That's
Oh,
already there. That's
that-
what I thought.
that's an existing old,
Just an old one.
Okay,
just
so it's just
old drive.
annotated
Okay.
on there. Okay.
they
Okay.
anticipate
Well-
those not being approved.
Okay.
There's an existing asphalt, but then there's also a proposed a little bit further down from that.
Yeah, 38-foot wide.
Or maybe the little one's the existing one and the bigger one is a
35.
proposed.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so future 35-foot TxDOT drive. Yeah, so they most likely submitted both of those to TxDOT for approval to plan out their spacing.
Okay. Just so my only concern then falls back to the entrance, that being the main entrance, especially until Friendswood Parkway gets kind of developed. And is that going to cause a traffic issue, as we've seen in other cases on that same road?
We can, I'll talk with our city engineer, and then also we can confirm with their engineers.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Bounds.
Aubrey, you said there is going to be a red light installed?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Oh, I think that'll help mitigate some of the issues, but,
That red light's going to be at Friendswood Parkway, though, right? Friendswood Parkway and 528, not at that
Yes.
entrance.
not at the entrance.
Right,
okay.
right. Yeah, it will be at the intersection to the left, south of the gray on the drawing.
So we're going to need to start considering a bypass for 528?
All the traffic in the morning's coming from Alvin this way, so this is going to be going the other way.
Nothing more, thank you.
Commissioner Anderson.
Yeah, just a clarification question. This two-lane road, is this the final road that's gonna be, or is this just a temporary road?
It'll be 2 lanes of the future will be 4-lane boulevard.
There has been a lot of discussion about the routing. Is this consistent? I know that this is just a short piece of it, but is this consistent with the routing that has been discussed many times?
Yes, we have a substantial amount of right-of-way for this. Like this portion has been decided for a long time. There's existing right-of-way here. We're just widening it and aligning it with the other side of 528.
This is the dirt road now that goes, this is really upgrading the dirt road that's currently there, right?
Yes, yeah, and there will need additional right-of-way will be needed from the other property owner eventually when that side is developed.
Further down, you mean? Not this section right here, right?
Yeah, so the Wisniewskis own the property, so, looking at the drawing to the left.
Yep.
So they'll need to dedicate additional right-of-way for the other 2 lanes of the
Okay,
parkway
okay.
eventually.
Commissioner Anderson, you good? I have a few questions. The parkway going up to their entrance, why wouldn't it go to the, being that this is one development, why wouldn't it go back to the end of the development there at the detention?
That's a clarification we're gonna need to, we'll make that clarification.
And while I'm at the detention part, I'm assuming that will be done before this is developed?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we've issued, that's gonna be a public detention pond. So eventually when the corner piece, the 1 acre there at the corner, when that develops, they'll be able to drain into that same detention pond.
Okay.
So we've issued the plans and they have approval from the drainage district and the city for the pond.
Okay. On the landscaping plan, it shows the landscaping for the whole development. But are they only doing the parts on this section?
Yes.
For this? Okay. So with potential future developers on the other reserves, is that plan locked into those reserves, being that it's on this landscape plan?
Yes, they'll have to, when they sell those properties, it's part of their mitigation plan so that they didn't have to mitigate everything on one of the tracks. They were kind of spreading it out.
Okay.
So yes, those other properties will be subject to this mitigation plan.
Okay. And I've, of course, mentioned it before, but why would there not be a need for a sidewalk along Narnia? I assume that road will eventually be paved and redeveloped at some point.
Yeah, it's an unimproved I think it's a private road right now. It's
Okay.
not even right of way.
That'd make more sense then.
But yeah, if that is ever dedicated as right of way and improved, then we would build the sidewalks for that road at that time.
Okay. And this building that we're talking about right now it's more research anyway, right? So the parking is probably not as much of an issue.
Yeah, I understand it is a research facility.
Okay.
So yeah.
Other than that, I have no other concerns. Okay. We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? Oh,
We don't have a
or-
second.
or shoot, I skipped. Do we have a motion?
Pending clarification of all the questions that we have.
Motion to approve?
Motion
pending?
to approve.
Is that good, Karen?
So it's just a clarification. It's pending the sidewalk access clarification as well as the Friendswood Parkway Drive to the extent of the property. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Do we have a second? Commissioner Anderson? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion passes. All right, sorry for the errors there. Next on our agenda is communications, and we will start with the next Planning and Zoning Commission regular meetings have been scheduled for Thursday, November 14th, 2024. And there will not be a meeting on Thursday, November 28th, 2024 due to Thanksgiving holiday. Next, we got our city council updates from Councilmember Matranga.
Good evening, commissioners.
Hello.
I'm glad to be here tonight. City Council in our last meeting had, I was going to pass along two things that we talked about in that meeting. One was we had our first presentation on potential options for an expanded library and a new community center. That's kind of step one in the process of looking at what are options out there, what would it look like. And more to come on that, especially on where the funding would come from for that, for those buildings. But kind of the first step was taken in thinking, what kind of buildings do we need? What were the possible uses and so forth. So anyway, that was one of the things on the agenda. The other was we approved the preliminary, I want to make sure I get the name right, services and assessment plan for the Friendswood City Center. Again, one of the next documents that was needed to continue moving the city center forward in its development. So those are the two things that you may see one day on the commission as far as the library expansion or the community center. Hopefully we'll figure out a way to fund it and you'll get to see it. And then the second was continuing to move the projects forward for the city center. That was all I had.
Thank you, sir.
And the seventh grade girls went undefeated in volleyball, so.
Oh, and that.
Councilmember Hanks, is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, thank you, Joe, for doing that.
Your timing's impeccable.
I had to get to that last.
All right, we will continue with communications from our commissioners. Start with Commissioner Anderson.
Nothing, except thanks for the good work that goes in the preparation of the meeting. Thank you.
Commissioner Bounds.
Ditto on what Mr. Anderson said, and just a quick note, I did attend the APA conference last week with Marcia. It was drinking from a fire hose. There was so much going on. Very interesting. One of the ones that really intrigued me, being a pilot and a drone pilot, was they talked about setting up a with the Planning and Zoning Commission and with City Council, rules for drone deliveries in the cities. And I found that very interesting because I didn't think it was utilized that much, but from the data they were giving us, Plano and Louisville is just about finished with their city council approval, and they've already done quite a few deliveries. So I think it would behoove us to look into, I did get the business cards of the Plano city manager and Louisville, and they said they would be willing to share information with our planning and zoning team, how they came up with their information. So it's really well utilized by the older generation because they can't drive to get their medications. So Walmart and Walgreens and CVS are all using it to deliver right to the front of their house or to the backyard, either one. So something worth
Nice.
interested in looking at.
Commissioner Mann?
Just happy to be here.
We're happy to.
Mr. Conrad?
I attended the APA convention also, and I went, I mean, there was so much going on there. I mean, just so much. But the urban planning in the community, how they were focusing on so many green spaces in parking lots and every single, the plots that they had, and how they were trying to not get any zoning done prior to platting. And you probably know all of this, which I didn't know. If you do not collect any fees, then you have a lot more time to work on all the documentations that are supplied to the city and like to you. And I thought that was very interesting. You know, instead of just giving you 30 days to bring in all the information necessary, if there was anything that they were having difficulty with, you just don't collect the fees to start the process, which I thought it was really great. A lot of future developments. I mean, I had no idea where Allen, Texas was. It's right there in Dallas, and it was like in the middle of Dallas, so now it's all just one huge city. And so they were trying to implement so many different ways and forms to make the city green. All of it, just add more trees, more benches and parks and things like that. It was really informational. It was a great time, and it was not cold. Like at the last two, they've just been freezing and wet, but it was great. Good weather. Good time.
Number one, I apologize for my ordering. We'll get that right next time. But I think what Commissioner Bounds brought up is interesting, and that's just things we need to be prepared for, is how things are going to evolve over time with technology and different methods, right? Thank you to both our council members present, and thank you to staff for all the help. That's all I got. Next, Becky, you got anything else? Aubrey?
Just a reminder, the 10-foot water line easement abandonment will be on council's agenda for Monday. So they'll get the final decision on that. And just to plant a little seed, I'll start working on our date for our annual retreat coming up at the beginning of December. So if y'all are thinking of any topics like that, would be a great one to add to our to-do list for next year. So if y'all think of things, just jot them down and bring them to the retreat. I'll get some dates together and maybe next week, and we'll start getting that planned.
Okay, perfect. And Karen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. With that, thank you everyone for attending this evening, and the October 24th, 2024 Planning and Zoning regular meeting is now adjourned.